The 1950s, an idyllic and prosperous time for America. And outside the sleepy town of McMinnville, Oregon, a simple farmer and his wife quietly tended to their crops, fed their animals, and photographed alien spaceships.
I looked up and saw this thing in the sky. Well, it was bronze on the top and silver on the bottom. I would say right around the size of a big parachute, maybe a little bit bigger.
Evelyn Trent was outside tending to the rabbits when she caught a glimpse of the strange object. She yelled for her husband Paul to bring the camera.
And he took the picture of it as it was straight and then as it tipped. And just, really went. It went fast.
Some relatives saw the pictures saying, "What's that?" Then they began talking about the story.
The photo was published in the local paper, and people were astonished.
As a photograph, it was probably the first major photograph that showed a mechanical-looking object, not just a bizarre light in the sky. The case got a lot of fame because it was a real sharp, one of the sharpest pictures of a structured object that was ever published for decades.
Doesn't look like an airplane, doesn't look like a helicopter, doesn't look like a bird, doesn't look like a balloon, doesn't look like anything that we would ordinarily see in the sky.
So what was it? Physicist Bruce Maccabee spent nearly 40 years working for the Naval Surface Warfare Center. He also spent those years investigating UFO sightings, including the McMinnville photos.
I examined the Trent photos and, of course, the whole history of the Trent sightings and all our interviews ever since the photos have been taken. In my mind, this is a real case.
Maccabee sees all the evidence he needs right here in black and white.
The clear, very clear shape and description of the dynamics, how the thing flew and so on, make it clear that it was not any flying craft built by human beings.
But there are those who believe the craft was built by humans, built, in fact, by the Trents themselves.
The McMinnville photos are clearly a hoax.
Robert Schaefer, an author and well-known UFO skeptic, believes the farmer and his wife were pulling the wool over people's eyes, and that it didn't take much effort to do so.
You would just get some object that had the shape you wanted, whether it was a truck mirror or some other object, and put it on a very fine thread and put that over the telephone wires, which are only 10 or 15 feet above the ground, probably on 2 wires, and just, hoist it up that way.
Just to look up and see something like that.
If that is true, why would the Trents attempt such an elaborate hoax?
She said that she'd seen UFOs prior to this, but until she had the photos, nobody would believe her.
Both Mr. and Mrs. Trent have passed away, but decades after they took those famous photographs, the debate shows no signs of zipping off into the Oregon sky.